Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happen to welcome Lee Payne of Cloven Hoof to the program tonight. Lee, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's an absolute honor to talk to you, Lance, and and put our sort of music across to the wonderful metalheads in America. You know, the best time we ever had, like in the band, really, was on two sort of back-to-back sort of headline tours of America, and I'll miss them a lot. So we'll try and get over there as soon as we can.
Excellent. Yeah, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. When were you over here? When did you tour over here? What years?
Oh, it's about 5 years ago now, I
Yeah.
think.
So
5 years ago.
pre-COVID then.
Quick. Yeah, I mean, so we're due another tour, aren't we? You know,
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
We had the just the best time. It was fantastic. It was grueling. It was a sort of proper road warrior stuff. We played every single night. We had no days off, and doing that for sort of 37 dates.
Wow.
We were
Yeah.
still there at the end. And we gave 110% every night as we always do.
Mhm.
But it's the crowd really. It doesn't matter how tired you are. You get the adrenaline, and you can't wait to play. And just the music gets you through. After all those sort of grueling dates, but we just had the best time. It was fantastic.
That's cool. Well, you've got a new album coming out May 31st on High Roller Records called Heathen Cross.
That's the one.
I have heard a copy of it. Dustin got me a download. Fantastic album.
Oh, thank you so
Fantastic
much.
album.
I really appreciate
Um,
it. We're really proud of it. And there's a certain magic to it. Really kind of started off, with definite criteria that we wanted to meet. Really,
mhm,
um, all the I kept going back to my favorite albums, and they all sort of like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Deep Purple albums and Thin Lizzy. And what they had was a band in the studio, organic, just playing without all the studio trickery. And there's too many albums being made, I think, and they sound all the same. They're very kind of processed, and it
mhm,
hasn't got that spark, like Paranoid album. It's because the band were, it was a living, breathing band laying it down, and they're not just playing the songs; they're giving a performance. And I was thinking, well, why the hell can't we do that today? We've got all the great sort of recording equipment. There's no reason why the production should suffer. But let's try and instill that sort of live energy kind of back into the studio, and that sort of old school way of doing it, and it worked great. And I think there's a lot of sort of that sort of energy and vibe in the album, and I think that's what gives it that sort of spark. And obviously the production's great because the wonderful Patrick Engel produced it, in Germany. And
mhm.
he gave us he's so professional, like he gave us all the EQs that he wanted us to sort of use in the first place, like on the drums and on the guitars and everything. So it would sound great right away, and we kept to his EQ levels, absolutely religiously, really. And the album just turned out fantastic, like the guitars roar as if they're in the room with you, which is what I
Yeah.
wanted. And and it's got that vitality and that sort of magic to it. So yeah, we're real proud of this one. Yeah.
Cool. Cover art is fantastic.
Oh
Who
yeah, Alex
came
is
up with
Alex
that?
is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, and he's done quite a few our well, most of our high roller albums. And he sort of, he always asks me, like, okay, what's your vision? What do you want to sort of portray, really? And I always send him like sort of sketch and everything,
Mhm.
exactly, how I see it, like, and he just takes that and he just ran with it, And the main motif for it, I got the album here, hey, there you
There
go.
you go. Who was it that did the artwork again? I missed that.
It was his name's Alex.
Okay.
Uh, I'll never pronounce it. It's like wielding kind of thing, but
Okay.
he's just wonderful, wonderful artist. And I really wanted to portray on the front of the Heathen Cross thing, the subject matter in the track called Sabbath Stones that's on there.
Hmm.
And because it was the first track of that album, and I actually kind of I had this dream, and there was this the actual progression and all the music for Sabbath Stones. I'd had it could have been on the first album. I had it all that time, and I couldn't do it justice. I couldn't think of a good enough storyline. So that so the riff and everything was just spectacularly, sort of heavy and doomy, and
Yeah.
I couldn't do it justice. And for years I've just kept it on the shelf. Unless you're going to do it justice, don't bring it out.
Right.
So. I had this dream, and I dreamt I was in a place called Cornwall, which I used to live there. And I had a girlfriend there, and for some reason we're recording this sort of spooky house and thing. And I don't know whether subconsciously, my head is working on songs even when I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And all of a sudden I remember the legend that my ex sort of girlfriend was told me about, and it's a place called St. Cullum. And the church has like this sort of village green kind of thing at the back, and you could see it obviously had like standing stones there, these sort of
Okay.
sort of stones, and but they weren't there. And I said, it's a shame the stones aren't there. She went, yeah, they are. She went, they're off, off consecrated ground, and it's by the side of the church, and they were removed because the vicar didn't like the legend that was attached to them. And I went, what legend's that? And evidently, the legend is that these seven sisters were dancing on the Sabbath day, like
Right.
on Sunday, and they were turned to stone by God because he was angry. So the
Hmm.
vicar, these stones moved, and it took that dream that I had. I heard like Sabbath stones in there, and
Yeah.
when I thought connected with the stones, then I thought back, back to the legend of the church, and I'm thinking, why the hell didn't I think of that years ago? So it took a dream to sort of make you start me off. So that was pretty kind of mystical, really, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
then I was away then, and I even mentioned the Seven Sisters like in the song, like in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I also fused that with there's a song "Curse of the Gypsy," and it's about like a witch finder. So
Hmm.
so on the cover, that's what it's depicted. It's this sort of spectral kind of witch finder with a sort of with the heathen cross kind of round his neck and the standing stones all around it. Like so that was the idea for the cover. But the Sabbath stones, like, that was the first one we did like towards the new
Yeah.
album. It was it's great, like and Alex did a fantastic job of portraying that like on the song.
Yeah. Well, you answered my question then on the songs because my question was, what are Sabbath Stones? So you answered that. And to me,
There
that,
we go, right off the
yeah,
bat.
that song had like, to me, as I was listening to that tune, it gave me sort of like a Ronnie James D era Black Sabbath,
Fantastic.
Heaven
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Hell type of feel.
Yeah,
Not the
do you know
song, but
what?
that album.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is, and that's another thing. Ronnie, when he was recording Holy Diver, he went down to Cornwall,
Yeah.
and he visited Tintagel, which is kind of sort of King Arthur sort of legend kind of thing, like there. And he took the whole band down there before he made Holy Diver.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, the same that sort of girlfriend, a friend of hers, actually served Ronnie when he was having something to eat as well. So
Wow.
what a weird thing. But like that's amazing how you picked up on that because there's a track on there like Frost and Fire as
Right.
well. I'm getting a kind of heaven and hell sort of vibe off that as well myself. Like I don't know whether it was I think it's because I work with American singers as well. Like we've got that sort of Anglo-American kind of
Sure.
feel. Like and I think it kind of rubbed off. But I always write for American singers. I always have done because like Ronnie James Dio is my favorite singer of all time. And in
Okay.
your head, like I kind of write for that kind of voice anyway.
Sure.
Like and having Harry's amazing voice as well. I mean, our last singer George, he was fantastic as well.
Right.
And like the main reason why that kind of we had to get another singer was we had Brexit in England, and it was just after COVID, and everything shot up in price. So
Right.
the airfares went up beyond belief, and
Mm.
so it just didn't make financial sense for us to do it. Like it was a shame, but
Yeah.
you can't play shows and be out of pocket kind of thing, and that's how bad, that's how much the prices went up. So
Right.
we had to get somebody based in Europe, and we were so lucky that Harry's there in Greece, so it
Yeah.
were affordable, and
Very.
Harry's voice is just so fantastic,
Yeah.
um,
A
and I
great
think,
voice for this.
oh, what a voice, like, and he's an amazing front man as well. So I feel very privileged to have him in the band, like
Yeah.
he's really kind of raised the bar, and
Absolutely.
I can't praise him enough. I think he was fabulous on this album.
You mentioned Frost and Fryer. My note on that was totally epic tune. And there's a lyric on there I really liked. I hope I wrote this all right. It was one verse said, "Call it destiny, eternity of man's own need to kill.
Yeah.
Bloodlust burns inside eternal rage. Madness reigns, a world in pain. The beast is with us still. How can we live together when hate
Will we
rules
change
at
now?
every
Never.
stage?" That's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. I really
Epic
appreciate.
lyric.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of, I've always, we've all, I think underneath the hood on Cloven Hoof, why our music is sort of so sort of epic and was different from all the other bands like at the time was, under the hood, I loved prog rock as well, like,
Yeah,
oh, I had a love affair with like sort of Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and Thin Lizzy and all these kind of bands. But also, I love bands like Yes and Genesis, and they had the
sure.
kind of epic kind of song structures and multi-time changes. But the thing is, the difference was Cloven Hoof were aggressive and heavy, but
Right.
we had all these intricate sort of epic bits. So I think that's why we were kind of different. And I kind of see the songs as like mini kind of movies with like storylines.
Yeah,
So and the way I write is kind of different from I would say a lot of heavy metal bands. Like they'll probably start with a riff, and
hmm,
then you get the singer singing on the riff, and a lot of the times you just repeat the riff. The singer singing a riff.
yeah,
So but what I do, I start from like I get my melody line, and I write music to fit the storyline and the melody. Like classical composers do.
sure.
Like you actually see, it seems more logical that way because then the songs are much more sort of imaginative. They're not following just a guitar riff. They're sort of music in their own right and sort of like different musical movements really in our songs. And because I write in that way, maybe that's another reason that we kind of sound sort of
Yeah.
different from metal bands.
I read
Uh,
where a couple of your bigger influences were Geddy Lee and Chris Squire, who are,
Oh
again,
wow, yeah.
prog,
I mean those are the guys. I mean, I was really lucky because there was when I was young, growing up, there was a writer called Jeff Barton, and he was basically responsible for sort of Kerrang magazine.
Mhm.
And I used to he had the same kind of taste as me, and if he said an album was good, I'd go out and get it. And right away, it's like he was mentioning this Canadian band, called Rush, who no one heard of.
Yeah.
And eventually, Rush did their first tour, and it was a 2112 tour. But I
Mhm.
was already a big fan of Rush because Jeff Barton kept saying, the
Sure.
first album's great, love Fly By Night, love Caress of Steel and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when it came to 2112, he gone, this is an absolute tour de force. So it happened to be the most, when All the World's a Stage come out, that was the most expensive album I've ever bought. Like it cost a fortune because it was on import.
Sure.
And so when they came, there was in it was a Birmingham Odeon. There must have been only about 30 people there because no one still heard a Rush,
Wow.
and it was like a masterclass. I just stood there watching what Geddy did and watched Alex and obviously Neil blown away,
Yeah.
and so that was I learnt more in that one gig than anything, like oh so that's what Alex is these kind of suspended chords, like I
Yeah.
try those out when I get home.
Wow. I would
And
have loved to have been at that show.
fabulous, like, and so I learned so much, and there was no like tab books in those days. You had to.
Yeah.
I used to just religiously watch bands, like, and what area the net people are playing, and
Yeah.
so I sort of evolved that kind of style. But I, and obviously Chris Squire's
Yeah.
genius. And he loves Chris Squire as well. And I love that melodic kind of bass playing as well. I mean, I know when to lock in with the bass drums, to give it that power, but I'll also try and play melodically as well.
Right.
So, it's kind of a science playing bass. And that's why I
Yeah.
love the instrument, because it's so versatile, But
Yeah.
those are big heroes of mine.
And then I read when it came to showmanship, you learned a lot by one of the guys from my one of my all-time favorite bands, Pete Way of UFO.
Oh, Pete Way used to run everywhere, you know, like, and
Yeah.
I was thinking, how cool! Look at that, you know, with he's one of the few bass players that just, you know, ran about, you know, all over the place, and he put on such a show. I love that. I learned a lot from Pete Way as well, and what a
Cool.
great band UFO were. I mean, I had the privilege of. As well, I had to pinch myself. We had the same agent as Michael Schenker, so
Oh,
like we said, you know, Michael Schenker, you know, we need somebody to sort of go on the Michael Schenker tour, you know, like, and sort of like kind of look after him for about 3 weeks. And I
yeah.
went, where is he? I'm going, you know. So
Yeah.
I was looking after with Michael for 3 weeks, and I found
Wow.
him the most wonderful. You know, he's very kind of innocent as well. Like it's like you know, he knew nothing about the music business at all. You know, like,
Right.
and it's because he was like a prodigy from a very young age, and you know,
Yeah.
like he's just been, you know, bought into that world, and he was
Mm.
kind of but he's still kind of innocent. He knows nothing about it. And I found him such a lovely person. He really was. And you know, you can't let on that I posted on my wall. You know, like I posted
Yeah.
Richard Moore and Michael Schenker with all the, you know, white flying V and stuff. And but the thing is, you know, you don't. I couldn't tell him it was a show, you know, because you know, you can't do that with your heroes, can you? You know, like
Yeah. No. Let's jump back into this new album, this Heathen Cross. I got a couple other tunes here I made some notes on.
yeah, yeah,
Uh Last Man Standing. This is track 4 on the album.
yeah.
Uh
There we, yeah.
that is one mean, brutal riff. I mean, you're pissed in this song.
Oh, thank you.
And I love the way Harry just spits that vocal out, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean that's it. You know, you're absolutely, you know, like spot on with the observations, my friend. I kind of wrote it originally. I thought the song was probably going to develop of a sort of an autobiographical nature, really, because quite a few times I've been the last man standing. You know, like in the band. You know, like I've had to
Yeah.
like carry on where, you know, like with the first lineup, it was completely decimated with like, you know, sort of girlfriends going, you're not going to go around the world with this lot. Come and settle down. And the guitarist was the first, and then the drummer's missus worked on him, and then I lost the guitar player and the drummer. You know, like, and then, you know, sort of Dave went as well the same way. So it was absolutely decimated by people wanting to settle down and stuff. So I was the last man standing. So I thought it was going to be a bit, you know, I was going to kind of pen it about, you know, like my sort of desire to kind of carry on, you know, like, and
Yeah.
fight music and stuff. But we had Joe Wheeling in the band on lead guitar,
Mm.
and you know, not only was he a great guitar player, but the guy's like a cage fighter. And he
Okay.
said to me, he went, "Why don't you write a cage fighting like uh, sort of anthem kind of thing, you know, like?" And I
Yeah.
thought, and but in the end, you know, when I come up with a riff, you know, like it was like C sharp tuning, you know, detuned and everything. It sounded really kind of brutal and stuff. I'm going, this would be a good kind of cage fighting kind of anthem, you
Yeah.
know, like.
Oh, yeah, that
And
was one
you know, it
mean, brutal
developed that
riff.
way. So then I did it from a fighter's point of view, you know, like, and put
Yeah.
myself into that situation. So that's how that one kind of evolved, you know.
Yeah.
But it's vocals, you know, like, I mean, that's the one missing ingredient as well that I've been after. Harry's got that. Not only is his voice so versatile, he can hit all those high notes and scream with power and everything, but you know, he's got that really sort of aggressive delivery, and
Yeah.
how he really lives a lyric. You know, he kind of acts it out,
Yeah.
and you totally believe it's happening to him. And only the great singers can do that. You know, a lot of people just sing, but Ronnie Dio would sell the song. You know, he'd live
Yeah.
it. And Harry lives the song, and you know, I just think the vocals incredible on that, so
Yeah.
powerful. You
Now,
know.
now I come out of that one, you know, that one's, you got that mean, brutal riff. You got Harry spitting these vocals out. I see the title Darkest Before the Dawn. I'm thinking, okay, Darkest Before the Dawn. Maybe this is gonna be like something a little mid-tempo, a little gloomy, something.
What
No,
can we do?
no, pedal to the metal. Um, this was actually my favorite track on the album.
Yeah,
Was
it's
Darkest Before the Dawn.
Galloper.
Had kind
Uh,
of that maidenish gallop to it, you
that
know?
Gallop, yeah. I mean, we've always had that. It's like Forgotten Heroes, and it's funny that is because, like on one of the other albums, you know, it's like I was having real trouble with this one song, you know, like, and something was missing, and the missus just went, "Are you kidding? Why isn't that galloping? You know, like Forgotten Heroes?" And
Yeah.
I'm going like, "Yeah, you're right." You know, so I changed the song round and just made it gallop. and it didn't drag, and it powered forward, and she was the one who pointed out. She went, you know, like the fans love that sort of galloping stuff when you make them gallop. So you definitely want one of those on the new album. And
Yeah.
there we go, Darkest Before the Dawn. That really gallops like it's real quick as well. Like.
Hmm.
So, but you can hear every we
Yeah.
played it so tight, you can hear us dig into the strings, like, and that was on the entire album. I think we were so rehearsed for this one as well before we went in the studio. I think I did 4 songs in one take, and that
Wow.
was one of the ones in one take. I was
Wow.
just in the zone, like, and
Yeah.
and and went, is there any mistakes on there? Went, no, you've done that's it, leave it alone.
Yeah.
They're one of
Yeah.
those little one take wonders. So yeah, like sometimes you just lucky and you just hit it right away.
Right.
But I think Ethan Cross was since the old days, like back to the first album. This was the most rehearsed album we've ever done before we went in the studio. So we knew the songs inside out, like.
Cool.
So I guess we were supposed to lay them down pretty quick because we knew them really well.
um, Track 6, Vendetta. The thing that jumped out at me was that all altered, almost sinister sounding. It was almost like spoken word part in that.
Yeah, yeah,
Where you slow the
yeah,
vocal down and he's almost like talking it, but you got the vocal altered and stuff like that. Is that
yeah.
still Harry doing that, or is that
Yeah,
someone
it's still
else?
still Harry doing that.
Wow.
He's so versatile, like, and the cool thing is, like, although you send him the melodies and everything, how he interprets them, and then he'll stick these little quirks in there and the
Yeah.
different harmonies and stuff. And I was so looking forward to hearing the every vocal he'd send back. I couldn't wait because they were all fabulous, like
Yeah.
they were like faultless. So it was really exciting for me, to hear these vocals come back. And
Cool.
he absolutely, he hit a home run on every single one of them. But yeah,
Absolutely.
Vendetta's it's about a contract killer basically. So I mean, some of the songs as well, it's fun, isn't it? When you sort of try and put yourself in their position, and try and think
Yeah.
like they do, being characters really, because as I said, all our songs really, I see them as like mini movies, and they've all got their own identity and stuff. And a Cloven Hoof album, you'll hear one track, but that's not the whole story.
Right.
The album's, a collection of songs with their own little identities, like an own character.
Yeah.
So I try to take our fans on a journey, really.
Right.
Use
Yeah.
their imagination, and because that's what I used to do. I used to love getting albums like Rainbow Rising, or
Mm.
and like Yes albums and everything. I'd be
Yeah.
taken to a completely different place. So I that's what I like to do. I like to take our sort of audience into other worlds, like, and kind of escape the real world most of the time, because it's pretty terrible like most of the time. So it's good that
Absolutely. Uh,
people can have that release, like, and leave the world behind, and sort of come into our world, and we'll take you somewhere else.
yeah, I mean, definitely. That's where I was like with, I would throw on like Rush Hemispheres, or I'll go back to UFO with the Obsession album. They'd have
What a
these
great
rockers, then
album.
they'd have these little tiny melodic instrumental pieces, almost like interludes in it and stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. Schenker was
brilliant.
great. Those, what's the name? Pleasurette on that album and everything. And
Yeah.
it'd be
Um,
so kind of different. I mean, when I talk to him as well, it's like what he did. I said, well, some of your chording versions, they're just amazing. And he went, well, I just put my hands in a shape and it would suggest something. So it was like instinctive, how he came up with
yeah.
those weird chording versions, like for Lights Out or Doctor Doctor, like,
Yeah.
and like it just evolves like on its own. And and I love bands that kind of explore their full kind of bandwidth. We try to make every song kind of different and have its own atmosphere. And it's like on Sultan's Ransom, that was very eclectic. We
Mhm.
explored, so many different kind of, some tracks were fast, and we had massive epic like Mrs. the Forest and stuff. And then, like we had a Thousand and One Nights on that album, which has got sort of a Hungarian kind of minor scale. So it just kind of sounds like Arabian or Egyptian, like, but just sort of different flavors for every track, so you don't know what's going to come next. Because I'm not a big fan of like bands that just every song sounds the same. Do you know? Whole album.
Yeah.
You could
Right.
hear
Right.
one song and that's it. But with Cloven Hoof, you've just got one tiny part of the jigsaw, like so they'll hear
Mhm.
like Last Man Standing, but that's nothing like Vendetta, like so
Right.
they've all got their own character. So that's what we try to do anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll skip ahead to the last song. So I always give, when I get to the last song, I give it what I call my last song test. Are they trying as hard on the last song of the album as they did on the first song of the album? This song kicked my ass, is my note. The
Oh,
Summoning,
oh,
fantastic
something.
tune.
Yeah, it's based on a witch's Sabbath as well, Lugnesta,
Mhm.
and it's kind of like the it would be the kind of Children of the Corn kind of thing, really,
Yeah.
the human kind of sacrifice,
Right.
and like it's kind of epic and it's got loads of song parts and it kind of builds, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
and like I like that song a lot as well,
Yeah.
like
Great. Great
guys.
closer.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
the guys like in rehearsal, really sort of got off on that song as well,
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I'm
going
looking playing that live.
going forward, album comes out May 31st. Once again, we're talking with Lee Payne, bassist and founding member of Cloven Hoof. Album Heathen Cross coming out May 31st on High Roller Records. You're headlining, if I got this correct, Mirfest in August.
Yeah, that's right. We got Mayor Fest. We've got another one in Oxford, and that's I've got it written down somewhere.
Yeah.
But we're in Munich as well in November, so
Cool.
that's already sold out. So that'll be cool.
Anything else in the works now? Or are you just going to
Well,
do the festivals for now?
I'll tell you the main reason, because right away. I mean, the album has only just kind of it hasn't been released until the end of May. But
Mhm.
I went back in the studio with the follow-up album. I'm actually doing that now, right now.
Okay.
So while we're in this rich vein of form, the idea behind that is that we go in and do the other album, leaving next year completely free, so we can do loads and loads of gigs.
Mm,
Uh, get that, and we'll be able to play like 2 albums worth of material that people won't have
yeah.
heard yet. So that'll be cool. So we're doing the hard work now, so we can really enjoy next year because
That's awesome.
we enjoy the live gigs more than anything. That's the fun part.
So we're
And
getting some new Cloven Hoof, and before we know it, we're going to get another new Cloven Hoof.
yeah, you'll get another one. You'll get the follow up for it.
That's cool. Well, we're gonna chat when that one comes out too. Then.
Yeah, we'll make a date. I'll definitely be back for that.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that. This one as well. I'm going to, now. I mean, we've got the perfect formula, really. I mean, I think with Heathen Cross, it was the perfect one for me because, like with our last, we've made like 4 really good albums like in a row anyway. But the
Mm,
but the fact is, this one was perfect because it had the perfect vocal and it had like the perfect drums as well. Because I felt like with some of our albums, the drums have been a little bit too busy at times.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and the thing is, it's all about what you leave out. And this album, it let the instruments kind of breathe more, and it sounds heavier because of it. So if you
Yeah.
don't have drums so busy or kind of cluttering it a little bit, you get the hit. You get the bass and the guitars. Much more kind of clear, and you've got that sort of more sort of rock steady kind of beat. And moving forward, that's the way to go now. We've hit our this is the perfect kind of album for Cloven Hoof. So now we've got that sort of laid down, like hopefully we'll be able to get all the future albums, sounding as good as this one, hopefully.
Very good. Yeah. I mean, this was, like I said, this was a fantastic album. I love. It took me back. Took me back to discovering Iron Maiden Killers and the early Judas Priest stuff and like that. It
Oh,
was like
thank
really
you
really
so
good.
much. I feel really honored.
Yeah.
Thank you
Absolutely.
for your kind words. Like I
Um,
appreciate
I'm
it.
watching my clock here. We got about 9 minutes left on my Zoom timer here. I'm on the amateur Zoom. I didn't upgrade to
I could
pro
I
yet,
could
so I could
talk to you
talk
forever,
forever.
my friend.
I know, and I could
Gone
too.
really fast.
um, but so, and I like to finish up with some silly questions, just questions I hope we've never been asked. But before we do that, is there a question I didn't ask you about this album? Something you wanted to talk about or get across to anybody before?
No, you nailed it spot on, like, and your stuff, like some of the things you mentioned, I've been thinking that myself, so
Oh,
hey, great minds think alike.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see. Silly questions. If you could speak any language instantly, what language would you pick?
Probably French.
French?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've got a lot of we had a lot of uh, fans in France, in France, and we went when we were playing in Canada. Like it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't realize it was Montreal, I think it was, and people were like speaking French, like and no
Right.
English at all. And I was there with the guitar, so we've done the gig, and 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm really hungry, so we went into the town and stuff, and they're all speaking French. And he said, "How are we going to order anything?" I went, "Well, you just go on point. I just want to try something." And I said, "Je voudrais une glace à la fraise, s'il vous plaît." And the guy bought me a strawberry ice cream. And and he went, "It's fantastic. You got a strawberry ice cream." And so you speak a bit of French. I went, "No, that's the only thing I can order."
That's great.
So I'd like to be able to speak French because it kind of sounds cool, doesn't it? Especially with the girls.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What is the last music you listened to other than your own?
The last one, yeah, that's an easy one. I'll listen to Wishbone Ash 4.
Okay.
I've never heard the album, like I've got quite a few Wishbone. I got the first one, I got the
Yeah.
Pilgrimage, and obviously Argos and Live Dates and stuff.
Right.
Loads of Wishbone Ash, but I hadn't got Volume 4, and I saw it in a shop the other day, like, and I went and bought it. Yeah, yeah, I
Cool.
loved it. Like they're great
Excellent.
band, and that were a big influence because of the twin guitars as well. Like
Yeah,
that's
definitely. Definitely.
definitely,
Those guys
definitely
influenced
great
so
band.
many bands.
Yeah,
Uh,
great.
favorite toy growing up as a child?
Favorite toy? Oh yeah, probably be my Fireball XL5. It was Jerry Anderson. I don't know whether in America that they had like Thunderbirds. They were kind of
Okay.
like puppets kind of thing.
Yep.
And they had when I was growing up, the first thing I was ever into as a kid was Fireball XL5, which was a Jerry Anderson production, and I just loved it, So
Excellent.
as an adult, if I see one, I'm going to buy one. You can afford to buy that sort of stuff later on, can't you? But
All right. If you could go back in time and eat one of your mom's home cooked meals from your youth, what would you have her prepare?
cook. Oh, I think my mum's Sunday dinner. Like
Sunday
yeah.
dinner?
I mean, like my mum died. Like you always miss your mum's cooking, don't you? Kind
Absolutely. Yeah.
of.
Last one, and this is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a biopic of your life, what actor would you pick to play you? And it's
Oh
your
yeah,
movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Tom Cruise. Like
Tom Cruise. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
just have like Brad Pitt as like reserve.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I got 5 minutes on my clock. Last serious question: if a youngster came up to you now and said,
Yeah.
"Mr. Payne, I really want to get into the music business. I'm starting a band. What advice could you give me, going
Right.
forward on this?"
Get a lawyer. Get a really good lawyer because you're gonna need it, like, and have your contracts checked out and everything because you don't want to go through what I went through, like, yeah, it was a kind of a night. We had a nightmare situation. I mean, what it was, like, we had a EP, the opening ritual, and got to number 18 in the metal charts, and we were kind of flavor of the month and stuff. And we had
Yeah.
the most fantastic manager. We had Judas Priest manager, and he died, like,
Mm,
and it just left us in a loads of people reckon they owned a piece of the band after that, like he did all
right.
these kind of details, these sort of deals. And basically every time, we started doing really, really well, all these people had come out the woodwork and sue us and stuff. And, it took years, we kind of had to ride out a contract and pretend we split up for about 8 years. And then when we're out the contract, they kept renewing it every year. We thought we'd be out of it in about a year, but it
Yeah.
didn't that way. They kept renewing it. And
Ugh.
sort of after 8 years, somebody didn't renew it again, and we were able to make our music again. But
Mm.
yeah, anybody starting out, the first thing you want to do, you get a lawyer and get your contracts checked out.
All
So
right. Sage
it'll
advice from
serve
someone
you
who's
well.
lived it. The band is Cloven Hoof. The album is Heathen Cross. It'll be out May 31st on High Roller Records. We've been chatting with Lee Payne, bass player and founding member of the group, here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Lee, this has been a joy. I can't wait. I can't wait for the next album already so we can
Oh,
talk again.
yeah, it was, you got it first, we're working on it right now, and it'll be an absolute pleasure to come back. And, thank you for a great interview, Lance, and see you again, my friend.
Absolutely. Take care, Lee.
Cloven Hoof salute you.
Bye-bye.